America's workforce. Its strength is our nation's success. Join iBuild America podcast as we explore innovative solutions and inspiring stories from leaders and workers shaping America. Discover actionable insights to build a motivated workforce.
I build America.
Welcome to the Conversations That Matter. We're talking about transformation, not tweaks. Today, we're asking serious questions. Is Job Corps evolving fast enough for an AI-driven workforce and not just evolving, leading? Quick framing. Workforce disruption, AI in every industry, employer expectations are rising, students' needs are shifting. We'll talk about innovation, employer alignment, leadership, courage, and how the Department of Labor's AI literacy framework fits into all of this. We are here with 3 Job Corps operators today. I'm going to ask that they introduce themselves and also how long approximately they've been in Job Corps, starting with the newest operator on the end.
Great. Well, thank you, Dr. Cole. My name is Korey Adams, and I'm CEO of Distinction LLC. Distinction operates a number of Job Corps contracts for the Department of Labor. We were awarded our very first Job Corps contract in 2021. And that's notwithstanding the over 2 decades of experience that I have working within the program. So I'm excited to be a part of the panel today.
That's awesome. Ramon?
Thanks, Dr. Cole. My name is Ramon Serrato. I've been in Job Corps since 2006. That's when I first got introduced into Job Corps, and that's when I discovered one of the best workforce development systems in America. So thank you, Dr. Cole.
Awesome. And Brian?
Thank you, Dr. Cole. My name is Brian Fox with Education and Training Resources, and I first got involved in Job Corps in 1987. So
we won't do the math. No math quizzes today. So let's jump right into this. I am Dr. Cole. I'm a former regional director, 30 years in Job Corps, but still love Job Corps. Still working for improving and enhancing the opportunities for young people 16 to 24 that Job Corps serves. So the big picture, when you hear transforming Job Corps, what does that actually mean? Not philosophically, but operationally, each of you.
Sure, I'll begin as the newer person to the group of gentlemen here that operates Job Corps centers. I think transformation, has to do with system development and implementation and the resources that are required to support the implementation of those systems. I think the last year for the program has been a challenging year for Job Corps in general. But I think all the operators, those who support staff, those who support students, are always looking at ways to make the program better. And so delivering on the mission of Job Corps, providing the services that are necessary for our students to thrive, both while they are enrolled in the program, as well as once they have completed the program, for their training to be relevant and to be able to be used in the real world, I think are part of those elements that have to do with transforming the program and making it better.
Okay.
Well, I would agree with Korey to add to what he has said as well. Operationally, in terms of transforming Job Corps, I think, we're at that point where we need to work with leadership within the Department of Labor. We need to work with our members of Congress, and we need to move the program away from a policy prescriptive format in terms of operations. And we need to maintain our high level of accountability. We're a taxpayer-funded program. We need to be accountable for what we do in this program. But we need the flexibility to transform the program more at the local, regional level, to work with our partners. I think part of this transformation, one of the important elements of it is again, working with the Department of Labor and members of Congress to give the program the flexibility that we need to migrate, evolve, and align Job Corps with the emerging workforce needs. We've always done that. It's a very different workforce that we're looking at over the next 10 years. And we, as a program, can't be constrained by policies that no longer work. And we have to have that flexibility going forward operationally.
Awesome. And Ramon, I'm going to shift the question and not
Okay.
give you the same question.
Okay.
But along those same veins, what's the biggest constraint holding standards back right now, in your opinion?
The biggest constraint, I would have to agree with Brian, is we sort of put a lot of policies in place that shackled us into not being innovative. Yeah, we want to be innovative, but the policies sort of prevent us from evolving and transforming. I've always believed that Job Corps is one of the best workforce development systems out there. We just need to modernize it. COVID pretty much exposed a lot of the technology that we are needing and we're looking towards. And people always say back then, yeah, you can't use technology for the trades. And that was proven to be wrong. You can learn the trades and you can supplement some of these educational lessons as part of learning a trade. So, yeah, we just need to modernize, and I think the restriction would be the policies that.
Sure. I'd like to add to that, Dr. Cole.
Go ahead.
Because I think Ramon and Brian really used a couple words that really stand out in my mind and in my thinking. I think overall structure of any organization drives activity. And from my experience in Job Corps, I think a lot of emphasis is placed on compliance and being compliance ready, being a compliance driven program. But I think if we are to transform Job Corps, not that we give up compliance, but I do think we begin to focus more on how do we make the program flexible. For the 2 decades that I've been part of Job Corps, the program's been very similar in a lot of ways. And what most operators would say is that we want to develop a program that's tailored around the individual student's needs versus the matrix or the framework in which how the program is currently established.
Okay. So with that in mind, what are you doing differently this year than you did, say, 3 years ago?
Sure. Well, so being the newer guy, I think one of the unique advantages that we have as a small business, as a new operator, is that I would say that I'm directly involved in the operations and oversight and the management of our contracts. And that's not always the case, I think, for larger organizations. I think my years of experience working on a Job Corps center, when I first began Job Corps, I began as a counselor. And I grew professionally, became a center director, served in various leadership capacities on different Job Corps centers. And I think to take from those experiences and apply those lessons learned to how we do business in terms of providing services to our young people, I think that's critical for us. I would say one of the major things that we do, or one of our biggest areas of emphasis today, that differs from what Distinction did 3 years ago, and that is to focus on leadership development. What we've seen in Job Corps, we've lost a number of experienced employees who know the program, who know how to work with young people who enroll at our centers. I think leadership development at every level of our center is very important for establishing strong centers and how we're to work with these young people and support them in their success as we move forward.
Okay. So, as Byron has said before, trying to open new doors with the old keys is not working. So we have to evolve. Job Corps got to come around. Ramon, without giving up any corporate secrets, where have you stopped doing something because it no longer works?
Where have I stopped? I don't think we've stopped. I think we're putting more emphasis into what Job Corps had begun historically. And what I mean by that is that when Job Corps began, it wasn't just developing the technical skills. It was looking at the whole human development of that individual. Residential component was important, but what they learned in the residential and how they learn to become citizens and good taxpaying citizens, making good moral decisions. That's where we're pivoting to make sure that we don't ignore that, neglect that. We believe that the human or the workforce development also includes the human development as part of that is so important, and we cannot pivot away from that. Yes, we have to comply with the matrix and the audits. That's understandable, but we have to also understand that industries are looking for resiliency as well from these workers. We want them to be able to grow and feel that they're contributing something to the cause.
And that has always been one of the beauties and benefits of Job Corps.
Yes, it has.
On the whole person.
That's it. That's the key.
You're not producing widgets. You're developing individuals, to meet those standards.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would say we haven't stopped doing anything, but what we have done is started doing a lot of the same things differently. So you build upon the foundation that we've always had, but you just don't do it the same way. So, again, we have a very different work force going into a very different workplace, and so how we've gone about anticipating that in the way in which we're communicating with our employer partners, analyzing what their needs are currently, what type of training they are doing that that aligns with what we're doing. So we're taking a lot of what we've done for a long time very successfully and not stopping it, but finding ways to enhance it and add to it that better matches what our employer needs are today.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Is transformation evolutionary, or does it require disruption?
Oh, I think it does require some disruption.
It will.
Do you agree with that?
It's going to require some disruptions because some of these policies are outdated. I think the technologies pretty much have gone so far ahead that these policies that exist are outdated and they hold us back.
Or you think the same way, or?
I'm thinking about the question. I'm thinking about the context in which the program exists. We are a program that exists within the U.S. Department of Labor. I think anyone who operates in the government space knows that government ideas and frameworks don't change very easily. And so, of course, while some disruption is necessary, I think my perspective is that realistically, operating in a space where change can move very slowly, it has to be transformative. I think my thoughts are when I think about Job Corps and what the program offers for the youth that we serve, the vision for the program is very important in terms of creating the type of environment, the type of program that works to serve the larger workforce development community.
Okay. So with that in mind, thinking about the disruption the Job Corps just came through, do you think that disruption is enough to create an evolution within Job Corps?
I think so. I think.
And what parameters did that take?
I think sometimes that disruption can be a good thing in a way, especially with us trying to break those boundaries that exist between the Department of Defense, Department of War, the Veterans Affairs, those departments that always worked in silos. We're now working to try to bring them together to be able to see how Job Corps can be such a value to be able to build this workforce that is needed for these industries that support our national security.
Yeah, I would agree. I think what we've gone through, particularly in the last 9 to 10 months, with the challenges of the program, and even prior to that, leading up to our challenge of elimination, this is an opportunity for us to transform. It's a paradigm shift moment for us. And if we don't seize it and embrace it and all of us, I'm not talking about operators, I'm talking about DOL leadership, Congress, and all of us. Because when you step back and look at the program and where we are at now, we're 62 years old, and but ironically, when you hear the pathway that leadership in the administration talks about, making America skilled again, the focus on apprenticeships.
Sure.
We do all that now. I mean, we are the nation's premier skilled training program. We have, all kinds of partnerships with our national training partners and union partnerships for pre-apprenticeship programs. We have a pathway to military enrollment. So we have all the elements in Job Corps that aligns with the vision forward. And we just need to align that and break down some of the policy constrictions that we have that allow our centers, to move forward and blend in and continue for the next 60 plus years to be our nation's premier workforce development and skilled development program.
So some of the policies need to be looked at with a different lens.
They do. Yes.
Some of the things that the regulations that were in place before possibly aren't needed anymore.
Yeah.
Greater focus probably on the outcome versus the controlling the environment.
We serve our industries, and Job Corps has always walked alongside the industries, but technology has accelerated a pace. I've always believed that industries need education and training, but the technology has accelerated a pace, and we are now trying to keep up with these industries, and we need to keep up with their need.
And you segued right into what my next topic was going to be: student outcomes. Real talk, though. The U.S. Department of Labor introduced this AI literacy framework. And let's be honest, how ready are we? Are we talking about basic awareness, or are we talking about true competency? Should every student graduate with some AI fluency? And the real questions are, how are you defining AI literacy in your centers?
Yeah.
Today.
I think of AI in this way. I think AI is really new, still new to a lot of us, but I think we all know it's not going away. And it's our responsibility to embrace it as a tool. We read things about AI having the potential of eliminating opportunities for those who work. And I think we have a responsibility as operators to help our students, to equip our students with the competencies that allow them to use AI as a tool for career viability. I think that's really important. So whether it's using AI to help write, redo cover letters or resumes, whether it's teaching them how to correctly vet or prompt AI for particular responses to use their critical thinking skills. I think we have a responsibility to define what those competencies are and to help our young people use them as tools. If you think of desktop computers or laptops and how they were used decades ago, many thought that these would be tools that would only exist in a certain environment or a certain industry. And when we look across all industries now, we see technology, the use of laptops and various kinds of software. I see AI as the same type of thing that's serving as a disruptor for our training environments and for what individuals, particularly our students, will be able to use both enroll while they're in the program and even afterwards.
So it's interesting how history sometimes repeats itself and we're not aware of it. Sure. Think back to the Industrial Revolution. And everybody thought that these machines were going to put everybody out of work. But did it happen?
No.
We had to reskill.
We had to reskill.
And this is where I think Job Corps is right now, is that we need to be in the reskilling business.
Absolutely.
Not running away. Oh my God, the sky is falling. Or, we're all going to be out of work because AI is here. But let's call it what it is, artificial intelligence that still needs human intervention.
But back to your earlier question, AI can become one of those resources and tools that helps drive the transformation of the program if we allow it. So interestingly, before we started this podcast, I was sitting over there and I Googled on my phone, how can Job Corps benefit from AI?
Mm-hmm.
And it told me everything that mostly what I had already thought of, but it talked about how it could enhance the outreach and enrollment of students into the Job Corps program. It talked about how it can accelerate learning platforms, leading our students to quicker pathways to credentials and things like that through AI. It talked about the modernization of our curriculum. So it has a place forward, and the worst thing we could do is discount AI as being a part of our transformation forward.
So instead of running away from it, we need to embrace it
Exactly.
and utilize it to our benefit.
That's true. One thing that AI has done, how we learn and how instruction is delivered will never be the same. It's changed. We are now in this paradigm shift. We have to now move toward how do we integrate AI, as you said, how do we show them how to use it responsibly? Because it is a tool, but how do you use that tool effectively to build someone's career? So, yeah, I agree.
Now, like I said earlier, real talk. Are our instructors ready? Or are we asking them to do something that they're still learning?
No, I don't think our instructors are ready now. And, just being honest, we've lost a lot of instructors for the last 2 to 3 years with this disruption. And one of our highest priorities right now has to be the recruitment and the return of instructors and teachers and counselors to the Job Corps program. So, the hard answer, in my opinion, is no, we're not exactly ready. We have to get our professional staff back in place. And we have to stabilize our operations before we're going to be able to do that, before we can move forward with this type of priority.
You're spot on. And I think, Korey, you said it earlier, investing in our existing staff. It's more professional development. I can think back to my years at the Job Corps Center, and your trainings were the check in the box. Did we do the requirement? But is it really going to improve them? Is it going to deliver the results that we want for the students that we serve?
Sure. If we want to, as a program, equip students with competencies, be it AI or any other technical academic skill, we must also ensure that those who are providing the instruction have the skills as well. And so it's basic. It's 101. And I think Brian is right, is that, we have lost stellar staff over the years. And when you lose staff, you just don't lose a body. You lose, you lose historical knowledge about how the program works and how to work with students. And so we have, responsibility and obligation, and what I would describe as an uphill challenge to ensure that the new people who are joining our ranks are being equipped with all the technical capabilities that they need to be able to then pass those on to our students.
Okay. So now that this notice has come out and the requirement is technically now upon you, are operators comfortable with independently seeking out the right resources to move the Job Corps program forward? Or would it make more sense to have one collective, because Job Corps is a national program, to be able to implement the requirements that have now been put out?
Oh, I think we definitely benefit from consistency as we move forward with AI, rather than us trying to do it individually, because it's, in the world of Job Corps operations, centers, have new operators at certain periods of time and things like that. And so if it's individualized by center and contractor, I think there will just be continuous disruption to whatever AI platform that, an operator brings to a center. So I would advocate that the best approach would be something that is uniform, has consistency, and that applies to all of us across the board in some way that we can all benefit from, as well as our students particularly.
I would agree with that. But if we give it over to the responsibility of the government to set up a standardized way, then it would take long. As rapidly as AI is moving, has integrated itself into the system, we could collaborate together and to bring it into the system, the workforce development system.
Korey, you're nodding.
My thinking is that having consistent baselines, foundational aspects to the implementation and training on AI competencies is important. But I think both large and small operators have some ideas about, what might be over and beyond that which is foundational. And so I agree, some consistency across the board. But again, as we talk about flexibility, talk about innovation, there are things that I believe different minds, different organizations can do that then go beyond, what might be the consistent foundational things.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you all would be open to a framework, a consistent framework that's put together maybe by one leader within the industry that already has the resources.
Yes.
But then be able to allow the centers to implement with some flexibility based on the needs of the students that they're serving.
I mean, Job Corps centers all come in different shapes, sizes, geographical locations. Their access to, resources and tools that are emerging from, related to AI are all different. So, I think that would be a reasonable approach forward.
Okay, because we're all looking at student outcomes, but what looks like a great outcome in one location may not be a great outcome somewhere else. We have been flooded with Job Corps success stories in the last 6 months, and it makes a whole lot of sense. Job Corps has gotten a lot of great exposure, but I think there's a lot more success stories that we could put out. And with that, the next question that I wanted to ask, starting with Brian, which outcomes are you most proud of? Completions, credentials, placement, wage gains, retentions, and why?
All of the above.
Yeah. But we don't have all those outcomes.
In Job Corps, we serve students 16 to 24 years old. They all come to the program with different needs, different capabilities. And sometimes a student earning a driver's license is equally as impactful as a student earning a high school diploma or entering college or taking a $50,000 a year job. So I say that, really truthfully, that they're all important but it's, I think more than anything, having students enroll in Job Corps and developing their career plans and successfully meeting those plans and graduating from the program is really, no matter what their outcome and their plans and goals are, the path to helping them meet those goals based on their capability and their desires, that is the most fulfilling to me, no matter whether it's, again, a job at the end of that plan, whether it's entering into military service, going to college, going into apprenticeship program, whatever that is, as long as we can, help them reach those career goals and the plans that they have established for Job Corps. That's the most gratifying to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. It's the ability, the placement where we know we did a good job when they place and then they continue to grow up on that ladder and moving towards.
So
Yeah.
with that in mind, do you think Job Corps measures too much?
I don't know if they measure too much. There's a lot of measurements.
I know. More than any other program,
More than any other.
any other workforce program.
And what we know from our centers, whether we're an operator, whether we worked on centers, whether we've been a counselor, or whether we're the center director, is that our staff work hard. Our staff work hard to work with the young person who comes in unsure, perhaps lacks confidence, perhaps lacks a little direction. And that it's very exciting when we see those young people succeed and prevail. I think my take on performance measures may be a little different because I think of the program for young people as a unit for economic mobility. And that may sound really, philosophical or what have you. But I think we want our young people who enroll in the program to be able to capitalize on the program that takes them from one socioeconomic status to help them to achieve and obtain to another socioeconomic status. I think we are most successful, and I get the most satisfaction and joy when I know and when I see the kid, perhaps that I worked with years ago. Maybe it wasn't as immediate as what the Job Corps program measures and looks at. But when I look at a kid and I know that me and my team, we work with that young person to lay a really strong foundation that they're now using in a way that gives them a sustainable wage. They can go out, purchase a home or have an apartment and have a vehicle where they're contributing members of society and they're taking care of their families. Those are the things that makes the difference. And that's why our program matters.
And that's why I asked the question about measures. I think back to all of my treasured moments in Job Corps. And one of the most treasured moments I had is a 2-page handwritten letter from a 2-time Job Corps student. Second time in, he still didn't get his GED, didn't get his high school diploma, didn't finish the trade. But he wrote me a 2-page letter. He only had a 3rd grade reading level. So think of the amount of work that it took for him to handwrite a 2-page letter.
Yeah.
But the reason he wrote me the letter was because I always encouraged him to keep his head up. He interviewed for a dishwasher job at Olive Garden. The manager gave him a job as a busboy because a busboy makes more money. And the manager said, because you gave me good eye contact in the interview. He attributed that to Job Corps. That will never be measured in a statistic.
Right.
But I don't think anybody would not call that a success. Those are the successes that we don't always have a measure tied to.
Yeah, sure.
But what are your thoughts about a measure that captures distance traveled from where they came to where they left?
Right.
Even if they're not the statistical graduate.
Yeah.
Well, we see that every day in Job Corps. Every day we just, to your point, we don't measure it formally in a lot of ways. But, as long as I've been involved in Job Corps, we've been a performance-driven system. And we should continue to be a performance. We are accountable as a federally funded program for the performance and outcomes of our centers and our students. So, but are we too much and too complex? Yes, probably so. Do we need to simplify it while maintaining the level of accountability that we need to be a federally funded program? Yes, absolutely we do. To the distance traveled measure, I kind of feel that's what one of the missions of Job Corps has always been. It's just that we don't talk enough about it. And I kind of talked a minute ago about when you asked the question, which one's more important, because with the age and the different abilities of students that we have, and many of them have a lot of barriers to education, training, and employment. We have a lot of our students come to us with special accommodation needs. So, a student earning a driver's license or a credential in an area, or learning how to construct a proper cover letter for a resume, in some cases is equally important as any other outcome achieved by any other student, because it's transformational. It's changing the life of that student in some way. You may not know it at the time, but years later, when you get the 2-page letter back, then it connects and it measures. So,
And that is
so that's a long answer there. But I do think that we are, part of this transformation forward that we're talking about, we really need to look at our performance measures. We need to simplify them, and we need to align them to the important things that are we need to be measured by, to be accountable as a federal program. A lot of the other stuff that we've done in the past, as far as model-based standards that are specific to certain centers that have these pools of students, I just don't see the benefit of those going forward anymore. And it causes a lot of times an operator to shift their focus and resources to a certain performance area that is going to, maybe increase the performance of a center within a reporting format. So, it will simplifying it, but having performance-driven accountability, I think is what we need to talk about. That as part of the transformation, and what's that going to look like. And I think it started already. I do.
Yeah.
I think we need to give credit to the Department of Labor. They have started that discussion with us.
Well, and it said that we measure what we treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes those measures can drive performance.
We treasure what we measure.
Yeah.
And measure what we treasure.
Exactly.
Vice versa.
But are we measuring some of those outcomes that we just talked about?
No, not
Those successes
No.
that turn into a productive citizen. So perhaps we need to take a look at what we are measuring, and maybe we're placing too big a value on some of the things that we measure.
Or modernize some of the instruments that are used to get those measures, because some of those instruments are outdated and need to be updated into what is being used now for some of these.
Take the mission and weigh it against the measure. And does it truly represent what we're doing and the work that we do? That 2-page handwritten letter.
Yeah.
The kid who left the center with nothing but a driver's license, but is now able to go back into his community and get a job as an Uber driver and earn an income legitimately and legally.
Yeah.
Because he came to Job Corps.
Yeah.
Those are the treasures.
And that's a major paradigm.
And we have probably all run into some of those students that said, I went to Job Corps, but I didn't finish. But I was able to do this, and this. And I'll never forget this person that did something that impacted my life for the rest of my life. I didn't make it, but I recommended someone else to go to Job Corps because I saw the value in what I got when I was there. So maybe we are measuring and we're treasuring things that aren't the most important for the population that we're serving today. My 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So where are our students getting stuck? Academics, attendance, behavior, mental health, placement. And I know your answer, Brian, is all of them.
Where are they getting stuck? Yeah, Brian. Oh, right. No,
Yeah,
no.
depending on the student, it should very well be.
It's an
Or any
individualized
combination of that.
It's individualized instruction, and that's the beauty of it. Those barriers exist, but we overcome them.
I'm thinking about that question. I think it's a really important question. And I'm of the mind, students are students.
Mm-hmm.
And students bring a variety of gifts, challenges, risk, all of those things. I think the question is better framed where our systems and structures stuck, because I think that's that helps us to understand potentially where our students are facing challenges. Job Corps requires resources. And I like to think of the program as a place that should be first choice versus last resort. And if we change our lens about thinking of Job Corps as an investment versus a handout or a gimme, I think we set the stage for something different. And the question is not where our students stuck, with all due respect, Dr. Cole, but it's how do we reshape, reorganize what we have here in order to deliver the goods to students that help them to overcome such barriers.
Modify the systems to get the outcomes.
Modernize it.
Yeah.
So, what data do you wish you had but don't to run the center better?
What data?
What data,
Data.
if any, you wish that you had?
I'll give you one. I think that's a struggle for the program right now, and many operators, if not all. But up-to-date data about where our eligible youth are. Right now, OBS, onboard strength, student enrollment, has been a challenge for the program. Of course, many of us, I'll speak for myself, we believe that in some ways we're under-resourced in that area. And we have deployed lots of strategies to address the challenge of onboard strength. But data about what our population of students, how they're making their decisions, where are they going, as we work very diligently to try and get them enrolled into the program and to share with them the success stories that can come off Job Corps centers. I think in a reevaluation of those young people who are eligible for the program, the data connected to that population would serve us all well.
Yeah, I would agree with Korey. I think that's our biggest challenge and priority right now is coming off of the disruption that we've been through in the last couple of years, and particularly of 25, getting our centers and our capacities back to full. And if you look at the data now on the location and the geographical areas of where eligible students for Job Corps are, it's not fitting with the reality of our prospects and applicants. So the data that we're using now says that there's an overwhelming number of eligible youth out there, ready and able to enroll in Job Corps, but for whatever reason, they're not connecting with the program at the rate and the level at which the data suggests. So, but getting centers back to full capacity, I think is part of that transformation that we're talking about overall here. But it's got to be the program's number one priority right now.
So the geographic assignment plan, the NEAP. Do you question the validity of the data?
Well, I think we're far enough into the NEAP as a tool for outreach and recruitment that we know that it doesn't work well. There are, structural problems with the NEAP geographically, numerically, and its requirements for certain centers or certain geographical areas just aren't fitting. And we're far enough into the NEAP now to recognize that. The quest isn't to be critical of the NEAP. It's just to say the NEAP is not working would be more accurate, and it needs to be revisited.
Yeah.
And if we're going to, and obviously we need to stick with a national enrollee assignment plan. Statutorily, we have to have one. But this one has proven almost since it was implemented to have bugs in it that have just compounded now over the years. And, it's time for that to be put on the table and to be corrected. It really is. And there's a lot that can be done there to improve Job Corps' front door. Our front door is broken. Yes.
You agree with that, Korey?
I agree wholeheartedly with Brian's remarks. I'll put a check there.
And Ramon, I see you're chomping at the bit.
It's I agree. It is broken and it needs to be fixed. Some of the data that you had alluded to that were mentioned that I wish we had. I wish we had that data to be able to connect to me thinking about military is those that are transitioning out. And speaking to 2 military bases, about 70% of those that are getting out, they're still under the age 25, 24. So they're all Job Corps eligible. This is where we can help them also be able to transition into careers, and that way they don't have a gap in between their leaving the military and into civilian employment. So the other data we should have is those that are military spouses, those that are veterans. That would be great. But yes, the need doesn't connect, and it presents a challenge.
So would you prefer something that's done by DOL or something that the individual operators would have access to, possibly working directly with Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Census Bureau?
I would say for us to be able to have some sort of control.
Okay.
And then we had several years ago had an instance where we were trying to get a student who was let out of basic training because they didn't make it. They discovered something in his health record, and he's going through the process, and so they had to let him go. He's going to be homeless, and thankfully, through the phone calls that we made and DOL, we finally got that individual into the Job Corps. But it took quite a bit just because we had to follow the whole process.
And how many more may have fallen through the cracks while you were working on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that as operators, we all talk and communicate and coordinate and support each other. I don't think any of us have a desire to be involved in policy making. But what we do think is important as part of this transformation context is that we at least get a seat at the table. And before policies are implemented that impact the program, that at least there's a discussion and that we can provide feedback on the operational impact of policy changes before they're actually implemented. And so I think, again, as part of this transformation process and the structure and the framework, having, Job Corps was born as a public-private partnership, and it still is today. And in the context of a public-private partnership, it's a two-way street. And if we are going to manage and operate centers as subject matter experts, then we should be at the table, not making policy, but at least giving feedback on the effects and the impacts of policies that our leadership, whether it's DOL or Congress, is contemplating.
You are 100% correct. I absolutely agree with you. It actually takes me back to when I first started working at DOL, and one of my mentors, Quentin Garcia, went up on the whiteboard and he drew a triangle. And the three sides of the triangle, one was the Job Corps Center, one was DOL, one was the Job Corps contractor. And then he put a little circle in the middle of the triangle. The little circle in the middle of the triangle is the student. And he said, if any one of these three sides fail, it lands on the student. So all three of us have to hold up our side, but all three need to have a seat at the table. to be able to drive that policy. But I think that's what you all saying is that all three sides need to be there
That's right.
to make that triangle perfect.
Yeah. We need to have that seat at the table. Yeah, we help build people. We have a lot of subject matter experts among all the operators, and all these subject matter experts are part of, can help shape and transform Job Corps. And yeah, we need a seat at the table.
So employer partnerships. Because there's still a requirement to be aligned to the workforce.
Sure.
Which employer partnerships are producing jobs right now, and what makes them work?
Yeah, not to speak of any particular organization specifically, but I think when we think about the national program, of course, there are national employer partners. Data on those employers would be another area of interest. But I think when I think about the contracts that we have managed, that we're looking at where our students are coming from and where they are returning to. And so really looking at those regional partners that are in connection with the centers. The type of partners that we're typically looking for are certainly private employers. We're looking at workforce development partners. We're also thinking about the school districts that our kids are coming from and how we can partner with them for any number of things. In most areas, there are major medical operations or medical facilities that provide any number of services for students that are enrolled in health occupations, trades. Of course, on Job Corps centers, that provides a number of pre-apprenticeship type programs. There are all kinds of construction companies that are out there. So I think it's really looking at an individual center and taking the training programs that are at that particular center and really aligning them to the employers that are out there who are actually seeking employees and trying to align those particular training programs to meet the needs that those employers have.
One of the areas of employer partnership that's been ongoing now, and actually with Department of Labor leadership, is the Maritime Industrial Base and the shipbuilders. That's proven to be, I think, a very big alignment for the Job Corps program, and I think it holds a lot of promise going forward. There's a lot of money being put into the Maritime Industrial Base and particularly shipbuilding. And we have the ability in Job Corps, and we started this a couple of years ago by sending our welders and electricians and those in the construction trades that Korey talked about as ship fitters, all the way from the Northeast coast, all the way down into the Gulf Coast to the shipbuilders, whether it's Huntington Ingalls, Austal, General Dynamics, Electric Boat, all of those. And most of those big shipbuilders have their own workforce development programs as well. In Job Corps, we have transformed already the Gulfport Job Corps Center into a hub center that is down on the coast there. So Job Corps students that are interested in going into careers in the shipbuilding industry can actually transfer to the Gulfport Center and use that as a transition support center while they transition into employment. They can, stay there until they get their first few paychecks and are able to get transportation and housing and all that lined out. So, that's, I think, a good example of what Department of Labor and operators have done together. Mm-hmm. Both worked on this, and the alignment of it is increasing daily. I think the caution around doing that too much is, back to Korey's point as well, is that we still got to do something for our 16 and 17-year-olds. They're not going to go to the coast and be shipbuilders. So we have other students that we have to align those partnerships with that are going to serve their career needs. So as important as our alignment in transforming Job Corps is to the maritime industrial base and the defense industrial complex and those high growth, high demand, high paying jobs that are projected over the next 10 years. And those are generational changing opportunities for our students. We have to do that. But at the same time, we have to think about, the other students that come in. They're not all going to want to move to the coast and be in a shipbuilding, no matter how high of a demand it is. So doing that at the local level, at the center level, remains critically important to us, to the smaller employer alignments, the regional employer alignments, state level.
Yeah. But how do we replicate that?
Well, I would add, I don't know.
For the rest of the student population that's not interested in going into shipbuilding, how do we replicate that?
No, go ahead.
It's really it's a model that I see the vision of where it's not just for shipbuilding, because you still have all these other industries that are interconnected. You have infrastructure, you have manufacturing, you have the aviation industry. That's a huge one where you can't get the supplies. You need the aviation side of it as well. So they're all interconnected. So even where your 16 and 17-year-olds may have those opportunities, but they're not be directly working for the shipbuildings, but they might have something that is affiliated to be able to support that industry. Yeah. So I think we can replicate that model for sure and continue with this transformation and scale.
We've done it recently with the utility industry and overhead line at a couple of Job Corps centers, working with TVA, National Grid up in New York. And they've been involved in establishing over the past 10 years in Job Corps or more, advanced overhead line training programs with underground residential distribution, with smart meter technician, FAA certified drone pilots, things like that. A lot of people don't know that about Job Corps, but we have a lot of those types of partnerships in place now, and they've been around for 10, 15, 20 years. And we need to continue that. And so we have the model to some degree.
That's a good trade.
And it is replicable model, because what we did with National Grid in New York, we did with TVA in Tennessee. So it's replicable.
I absolutely believe it.
But
you need power at the shipyard.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all interconnected.
And you are to be commended for launching all of those. And I can say that there were some days that I was envious, because I can remember one of our centers wanted to do the overhead lineman and had the ability and the facilities and so forth, but we didn't have the partnership. So with that being said, a lot of the strong partnerships that you're talking about were contractor led. Yeah. Would it be beneficial for DOL to be at the table to talk about that to the industry? Because I can remember trying to establish partnerships in Puerto Rico. And when the Job Corps operator was having the meetings, sometimes they would come, sometimes they wouldn't. But then when I was there on a visit, all of a sudden, the U.S. Department of Labor is going to be here. And there was no problem getting the employers to show up. So is it something that would be beneficial to have DOL at the table when contractors are talking to those employer partners?
There's that triangle you spoke about.
Yeah, I think it's part of that triangle. There is a point, maybe not in the beginning, but at some point, in order to move something like that forward, we need DOL support and confidence that whether it involves a trade change or some kind of equipment request or something like that. So they're an integral part of that partnership. That's going to help drive that.
So that's part of the question is, how do we keep training aligned to employer needs without constantly rebuilding the program?
Well, I think that's a decision that operators and centers have to be empowered to make, based on their research, based on their study, based on their available resources. I think all of us are interested in and doing what's best, not only for the student, but for the workforce development community. As we were talking about partnerships, I think one of the most underestimated things that in Job Corps perhaps is our advanced training programs. At St. Louis, for example, we have the Transportation Communication Union Advanced Training Program, and there are a number of similar programs around the country and other advanced training programs throughout Job Corps. Those advanced training programs provide specialized training for students in unique career industry pathways. And students who complete those programs, on average, leave our centers job attached and typically at a wage making higher than what our non-advanced training program students actually earn. So as we look at how do we maximize the opportunities for partnership, advanced training programs, I think, are a very critical element of that.
Well, and I think one of the unique things that Job Corps offers that no other training program that I know of offers, and I don't know that enough employers know, that we have the flexibility to modify our curriculum based on the needs of an employer with a commitment to hire.
Yep.
And I don't know that the operators are using that tool in their tool belt as often as they could, even at a local level. I probably am the regional director that launched more partnerships than any other regional director back in the day. But we wouldn't have like Mercedes-Benz. We wouldn't have Toyota until they realized that we're not training them on our curriculum and saying, you take them because we trained them, versus we'll train them according to what you say they need to
Absolutely
to have.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not that message is getting out enough. I mean, I want to hear you guys' opinion on this, but I don't know that the employers are hearing that message, that Job Corps is not take what we have and make it fit.
Yeah.
Versus we'll make it fit if you tell us what they need to have.
Well, let the message go forth from iBuild America podcast that Job Corps centers have the capability to tailor their training programs to meet the employer needs. All of our centers have workforce development boards. We have steering committees where we're working directly with the employer base who employs individuals from the community. And so for those employers who have a need and who want to hire our students, we are willing. I think I speak for our entire team throughout the Job Corps community. We are willing to sit down, have some discussions, review our curriculum, review what Job Corps calls a training achievement record, which more or less lists all the competencies that a student must have in order to be considered a graduate or completer of that particular trade. We are looking to expand that as well as to tailor that to meet the needs of the employer. So whichever camera is locked on me at the time, we're ready and we're wanting that relationship to be able to give you exactly what you need for the young people, in our case, who are entering your organizations.
Absolutely.
And I would add that bringing back that human development and placing emphasis on that. That way employers are happy that they're getting someone who's resilient and can endure and can have the courage to be able to continue in their career.
Would it be beneficial to have a student tied to an employer from the beginning of their career path versus trying to tie them to an employer at the end?
Oh, we love that idea.
Is it possible within the existing framework to do that?
I call that the Holy Grail. That's right. I call it the Holy Grail.
There are some workforce systems out there that are doing just that. Sure. And it would probably be beneficial for Job Corps to adopt that similar.
And we have part of the foundation of that already in place with our advanced training programs. A lot of our advanced training programs have a very small number of employers that are locked into those graduates for the most case, not all, but so yeah, I mean, that's easy for us to do. We Korey mentioned all of our centers have workforce development councils that are designed to bring employer driven information and to the center to help us align our CTT offerings and customize those. I mean, that's the core of the mission of those volunteers that, come in to our center quarterly and do that. So
The infrastructure is
the
there,
infrastructure is there.
but is it working?
It just needs to be modernized, and that's technology needs to be woven into the
Those were my
system.
thoughts.
Well, can I say respond in this way, Dr. Corey, because I think if there are employers that are watching the podcast, but we have an employer may be sitting there and wondering, well, do I call the Department of Labor? Do I call Korey? I think the easiest way for employers to work with centers is to have direct outreach at the center level, right? And all Job Corps centers have a center director position. And if a call is made to the center director's office and an employer explains who they are and say, we're interested in hiring your students and we'd like training programs that help us to meet what we're doing in our workplace, I guarantee that employer that they're going to get a call back within minutes from a center director. And so it's not an overly complicated process. It's very easy to establish those connections. Centers want to establish those connections. And I would say that we're eager to have those type of partnerships with employers.
And no industry is too far.
But do those partnerships trickle down to the right people within both organizations? From the Job Corps side, the trade instructors, and from the industry side, the hiring managers.
I think those are the pieces that have to be connected and aligned, right? And I think management people on a Job Corps center are there to help support and steer the trade instructor that's providing instruction to the students. When you have that training achievement record and you are using what's core that's been developed by the Department of Labor and the operator, but also you're adding on two components that help to create the opportunity for the students, it takes some work. It takes a commitment. It takes a commitment to be able to do that.
Now, how aware are trade instructors of the flexibility of modifying that TAR?
I would say our trade instructors are pretty sharp about that sort of flexibility.
That's good to know.
Yeah. There were
Say it to the camera. So that the employers know. Well, the employers, ideally, yes, they want to have the initial conversation with the center director. But who do we really want the employers talking to?
Sure.
We want them talking directly to the trade instructor.
Yeah.
The person that's delivering the training.
trade instructors who are subject matter experts.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Subject matter experts.
And are our trade instructors still subject matter experts? Or do we need to modernize them as well? Going back to my question, are our staff really ready for AI? Or are they still in learning mode as well?
So I believe we can get them ready for AI. Mm-hmm. We're working on it. I see older people my age using AI already. So I think it's user friendly. You just got to be.
Brian did it while he was preparing for this talk.
I think anybody that has a LinkedIn account, if they go to a Job Corps Center's LinkedIn account, there's a little wave going on now where I guess they're taking AI images of their campuses and getting them out there.
Yes.
And if you look at it, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And my first thought when I first saw the first one was that this is going to really resonate with students and applicants.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not like it looks better than a caricature or a cartoon. It looks real, but
fun.
Not real.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's already, Dr. Cole, it's already creeping in and it's moving fast. And, we're at the point where if you look for it, you're going to see it. But, to your point, we have to embrace it and we have to, all of us have to learn more about it, from the top down. I mean, I feel a responsibility to learn more about it and not just delegate that to somebody else, because it's an important part of our future forward in workforce development. Sure.
You're right. Well, gentlemen, we're coming up to the lightning round. Yeah, 30 seconds to answer these questions as I throw them at you. Korey, one metric that's misleading.
One metric that's misleading, I think that's a misrepresentation of Job Corps' SIRs. Significant incident reports.
Yes. Brian, what metric tells the truth?
Tells the truth. Graduation rates.
Ramon, one metric.
Yeah.
One practice that you would scale nationally.
A modernized workforce development system with technology woven into it.
Korey, where are we playing it too safe?
Where are we playing it too safe? Oh my goodness, that's a tough one. I don't know. Okay, have to come back to me on that one.
Okay. Brian, one partnership that could radically accelerate our outcomes.
That's, in my opinion, right now, it lies within the maritime industrial base. I can't. You want me to go on?
30 seconds.
Because it's aligned with the administration's initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
It's where Congress has put the money. And if you go to the shipbuilders, the next 10 years, they're looking at the need for 250,000 people. And if we can attach and align with that and increase the volume of our Job Corps students around that, it's going to be transformational, not just for the program, but for our students generationally.
Ramon, one AI skill that every graduate should have.
What AI skill? Being able to learn how to prompt AI. To teach it to learn itself, to learn him or herself.
Yeah. I got my answer now.
Okay.
I think we're playing it too safe with the NEEP zones. I think when I think about St. Louis, the center we operate in Missouri, we're down toward the southern part of the state. 5 minutes across the bridge is Illinois. That part of Illinois is not a part of our NEEP zone, which means we can't officially recruit over there. However, for the center that's assigned that NEEP zone, it's miles and miles away from that particular area. And so potential applicants that live there could easily commute to St. Louis within 10 minutes versus going 3 or 4 hours north away from their homes. So I think we're playing it too safe in that regard.
Our geographical lines are shooting ourselves in your foot.
Sure.
Each of you, what's one word that describes the future of Job Corps?
I want to say promising.
I say the same thing, promising.
Very promising.
Okay. So, in closing, transformation is not optional. The workforce is evolving. Employers are evolving. Technology is evolving. The question is, are we evolving at the same pace? AI, literacy, employment has to align with leadership courage. These are not separate conversations. There's one conversation. We all need to realize how Job Corps can evolve if we're willing to work together.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I hope I wasn't too tough on you. And I hope that the podcast reaches the right audience to make Job Corps promising and successful.
Thank you for listening to the iBuild America podcast. Please subscribe, share, and comment, and be sure to join us next time for more insights and inspiring conversations on building a powerful American workforce. iBuild America, building workforce success one podcast at a time.